Look closely at this little shoot right here. Most gardeners have been taught to see this as a problem. It grows right in the joint where the branch meets the main stem, and somewhere along the way, the internet decided that every one of these had to go. Pinch it off, cut it out, don't let it steal energy, don't let it take over the plant. And honestly, I believed that too for a while. I thought I was helping my tomatoes, I thought I was keeping them clean, controlled, and productive. But the more I actually watched the plants season after season, the more obvious the mistake became. That little sucker is not automatically wasted growth. On many tomato plants, that sucker is where the next stem comes from. It is where more leaves come from. It is where more flower clusters come from. And very often, it is where the harvest you were hoping for was going to happen. So when you remove it without thinking, you may not be cleaning up the plant. You may be cutting off production. And that is the part of tomato pruning that gets flattened into bad advice, because somewhere between commercial greenhouse growing, YouTube shortcuts, and repeated gardening tips, a very specific technique turned into a rule that backyard gardeners started applying to almost every tomato plant. See a sucker, remove it. That sounds simple. It sounds confident. It sounds like something an experienced gardener would say. But tomato plants are not all built the same way. And before you touch that plant with pruners, you need to know what kind of tomato is standing in front of you. Because for some tomatoes, removing suckers is not just unnecessary. It is one of the fastest ways to shrink your harvest. Let's slow this down and look at the plant itself. There are 4 main growth habits you are likely to deal with in a backyard garden: determinate tomatoes, semi-determinate tomatoes, dwarf tomatoes, and indeterminate tomatoes. And the mistake a lot of people make is treating all 4 like they behave the same way. They do not. A determinate tomato is built more like a bush. It grows to a set height, fills itself out, flowers heavily, and produces most of its crop in a more concentrated window. That bushy shape is not a flaw. That is the plant doing exactly what it was bred to do. The side shoots help build the structure of the plant. Those stems carry leaves. Those leaves feed the plant. And along that growth, you get flowers and eventually fruit. So when someone walks up to a determinate tomato and starts removing suckers because they heard suckers steal energy, they are not improving the plant. They are removing the plant's fruiting structure. It would be like pruning an apple tree by cutting away the branches that were about to carry apples, then wondering why the tree looks clean but empty. With determinate tomatoes, the rule is very simple. Do not strip off the suckers. You can clean the bottom. You can remove diseased leaves. You can keep leaves from dragging in the soil. But those side shoots are part of the harvest. Semi-determinate tomatoes are a little trickier because they can fool you early. When they are young, they may look a bit more vine-like. They may start upward, and if you are used to pruning indeterminate tomatoes, your hands almost want to start pinching. But then, the plant changes. It begins to bush out. It sends side growth. It fills in, and much of the production comes from that fuller structure. So if you judge the plant too early and start removing suckers aggressively, you are working against the way it wants to produce. That is why semi-determinate varieties need patience. Don't punish the plant for looking vine-like in the beginning. Give it time to show you its real habit. Then there are dwarf tomatoes. Dwarf tomatoes can confuse people because the labels are not always as helpful as they should be. Some may be described in ways that sound more determinate. Some may sound more indeterminate. But in the garden, many dwarf tomatoes grow with a compact, sturdy, bushy form. They are not trying to become a 20-foot greenhouse vine. They are trying to build a dense little plant with productive side growth. And again, those suckers are not random clutter. They are part of the crop. So for determinate, semi-determinate, and dwarf tomatoes, the core idea is easy to remember. If the plant is built like a bush, the suckers help build the harvest. That is the part so much online advice skips. It tells you what to remove before it tells you what the plant is. Now, indeterminate tomatoes are where the conversation gets more nuanced. These are the true vining tomatoes. They keep growing and growing through the season as long as the weather allows. They can climb, stretch, sprawl, and keep sending new growth for months. So yes, indeterminate tomatoes can tolerate sucker removal better than bush-formed tomatoes. And yes, there are situations where pruning them makes sense. But that does not mean every sucker needs to be removed. The most useful pruning on an indeterminate tomato is usually the boring kind, the bottom cleanup. Leaves that are touching the soil, dragging on mulch, or sitting so low that every rainstorm splashes soil onto them. Those leaves are asking for trouble. Early blight, leaf spot, and other problems often start low on the plant, especially when leaves stay damp and dirty. So I do recommend cleaning up the lowest section of the plant, not because every lower leaf is evil, not because the plant needs to look naked, just because leaves sitting near the ground tend to be the first ones to get diseased. A good practical rule is to remove the lowest leaves around the first foot of the plant or below the first flower cluster, depending on how the plant is growing. That kind of pruning has a clear purpose. But after that, the question changes. It is no longer, where can I cut? The better question is, what am I giving up if I cut this? Because when you leave a strong sucker alone, something interesting happens. It stops looking like a tiny side shoot. It thickens, it stretches, it starts acting like another main stem. And once it becomes another main stem, it can produce its own flower clusters. That is where the whole remove every sucker rule starts falling apart in a backyard garden. A single-stem tomato gives you one main line of growth, one column of leaves, one repeating line of flower clusters. But when you allow one strong sucker to become a second stem, you now have another line of growth producing its own leaves and flowers. Allow 2 or 3 strong suckers to develop, and the plant becomes fuller. Not abandoned, not wild for no reason, just fuller, stronger, and often more productive when it is properly fed and supported. Now, there is a balance here. A tomato plant with more stems needs more food. It needs stronger support. It needs enough spacing so it does not turn into a damp, tangled wall of leaves. You cannot ask a plant to carry more growth and then starve it. But when the plant has enough fertility, water, sun, and structure, those extra stems can become a serious advantage. And the reason is not complicated. Leaves are not decoration. Leaves are how the plant feeds itself. Fertilizer matters, compost matters, soil fertility matters. But the plant's actual energy factory is its leaf surface. Those leaves are catching sunlight, photosynthesizing, and powering the growth that turns into flowers and fruit. So when you strip a tomato down to one skinny stem, you are not just making it neat. You are reducing the number of leaves that can feed the plant. You are reducing the number of flower sites. You are reducing the natural shade around the fruit. And in a backyard garden, that shade matters more than people think. Think about what happens in the middle of summer. The sun gets high and harsh. The fruit hangs exposed. Birds can see every red tomato from across the yard. Insects find the fruit more easily. Squirrels seem to know the exact morning a tomato is almost ripe enough to steal. And then there is sunscald. That pale, damaged patch on the shoulder of a tomato often shows up when fruit is exposed to too much direct sun. A fuller plant canopy can help protect the fruit from that kind of stress. So the sucker you removed because it looked unnecessary may have become the stem that shaded your tomatoes, hid them from pests, and carried another cluster of fruit. That is why this topic matters. It is not about letting the garden become a jungle. It is about understanding that tomato growth has a purpose and pruning has a cost. Every time you cut a plant, you create a wound. A tiny sucker pinched off early is a small wound, yes, much smaller than cutting a thick stem later. But it is still a break in the plant tissue. And when gardeners prune constantly, especially in humid, rainy, disease-prone gardens, they create a lot of little openings. Then, the pruners move from plant to plant. Hands move from stem to stem. Moisture sits on the foliage. Wind rubs leaves together. Rain splashes soil. The plant is trying to grow, heal, flower, and defend itself all at once. That does not mean pruning is always bad. Pruning is a tool, but like any tool, it should have a reason. If a leaf is diseased, remove it. If the bottom of the plant is too close to the soil, clean it up. If growth is so dense that the inside of the plant stays wet all day, open it slightly. If a stem is growing into a pathway, snapping under its own weight, or making the plant impossible to support, manage it. But walking through the garden every few days and removing suckers just because they exist? That is not plant care. That is habit. And habits are exactly how a lot of bad garden advice survives. It gets repeated so often that it starts sounding like wisdom. The strange thing is, the original idea did not come from nowhere. Single-stem tomato pruning does make sense in certain systems. The problem is that those systems are not most backyard gardens. Commercial greenhouse growers often grow indeterminate tomatoes very close together. They train them up strings. They use the vertical height of the greenhouse because greenhouse space is expensive. Every square foot has to produce. So instead of letting each plant spread out wide, they run the plant upward. A single stem is easier to manage in that setup. It is easier to train, easier to space, easier to harvest, easier to keep organized when you have rows and rows of plants climbing toward tall greenhouse supports. And inside a controlled greenhouse, the environment is different. There is no rain splashing soil onto the leaves. Wind is not whipping the vines around like it does outside. Pest pressure is managed differently. Humidity and airflow can be controlled. The plants are fed and supported in a system designed around that method. In that context, sucker removal is not random. It is part of a whole production system. But then, backyard gardeners saw the method, copied the rule, and left the system behind. That is where things went wrong. Most home gardeners are not growing tomatoes up 16 or 20-foot greenhouse strings. They are using cages, stakes, cattle panels, Florida weave, short trellises, fence lines, and whatever support they can build before the plants get ahead of them. They are dealing with summer storms. They are dealing with humidity. They are dealing with wind. They are dealing with leaves getting wet, plants leaning sideways, fruit hiding under foliage, now in the constant battle of keeping everything supported just enough to make it through the season. So why force a backyard tomato to behave like a greenhouse tomato when you do not have the greenhouse? For many backyard growers, horizontal growth is actually easier to manage than extreme vertical growth. A plant that bushes out a bit can fill a cage. It can lean into a cattle panel. It can spread across a support where you can actually tie it, reach it, and harvest it. A single stem vine only makes sense if you have the height, the support, the spacing, and the growing conditions to justify it. Otherwise, you may be trading away flowers, leaves, shade, and plant strength for a method that was never built for your garden in the first place. And that is the forgotten context. The advice was not born as a universal backyard rule. It came from a specific way of growing tomatoes in a specific environment for a specific purpose. Once you see that, the whole question changes. Instead of asking, "Should I remove tomato suckers?" ask, "What kind of tomato am I growing, and what problem am I trying to solve?" That one question will save a lot of plants. For determinate tomatoes, semi-determinate tomatoes, and dwarf tomatoes, the answer is usually simple. Leave the suckers alone, except for damaged or diseased growth. For indeterminate tomatoes, clean up the bottom, support the plant well, and then choose a few strong stems to keep. You do not have to keep every single sucker. You do not have to let the plant sprawl into chaos. But you also do not need to strip it down to one lonely vine just because a pruning video told you to. A better backyard approach is controlled fullness. Let several strong suckers become productive stems. Tie them up, give them room, feed the plant enough to support the extra growth, keep the bottom clean, watch for disease, and prune when pruning solves a real problem. That is, a very different mindset from automatic removal. And yes, there are still exceptions. If you have a greenhouse or a high tunnel with a tall string system, single-stem pruning can make sense. If you have built a serious trellis and your whole setup is designed for vertical production, then yes, removing suckers may fit the system. If you are trying to grow giant tomatoes and the goal is fewer fruits that grow larger, reducing stems and flower clusters can help focus the plant. If you live in a very short-season climate and you need fruit to ripen before cold weather arrives, managing the crop load can be useful. And near the end of the season, when frost is coming and the plant is still pushing new green growth, topping the plant or removing new growth can help shift the plant away from making more leaves and toward ripening the fruit it already has. Those are reasons. Those are decisions. That is not the same as removing suckers because someone said suckers are bad. So here's what I would do. Try it side by side. Take a few tomato plants and prune them the way you normally would. Then, take a few others and do the lighter approach. Clean the bottom, remove diseased leaves, support the main stems, but let a few strong suckers grow into extra fruiting stems. Then, watch what happens. Do not just look at which plant seems neater. Look at flower clusters, look at fruit set, look at sunscald, look at pest damage, look at how stressed the plant looks after pruning, look at how well the foliage protects the fruit, and at the end of the season, compare the harvest. Because the garden will tell you things that recycled advice never will. A tomato sucker is not automatically your enemy. Sometimes it is the next stem. Sometimes it is the next flower cluster. Sometimes it is the shade that protects the fruit during the hottest part of the day. And sometimes the best thing you can do for your tomato plant is not to cut more. It is to pause, look at the plant in front of you, and ask what that growth is actually doing. Before you pinch off the next sucker, know the tomato type. Know the reason. Know the trade-off. Because in a backyard garden, that little shoot may be worth a lot more alive than removed.